Hi, we are Team 16 and now we will present our proposition for the new Accenture Reward Program. By looking into the needs, desires and behavior from Generation Z, we came up with these additional rewards and benefits that the new recruits can choose four of when they start, and after 3 years they can add another one. Then after 5 years they can add even one more. Eventually, after 10 years working for Accenture, they will finally gain access to all 10 rewards. Now, the monetary catalog side contains rewards such as flexible bouquet for both healthcare choices and compensation planning, legal insurance, student loan down payment plan, and employee ownership opportunities. On the other side, we have the non-monetary options such as leadership training, international education events, flexible working hours, networking activities, and at last, unlimited vacation days. Now, these options are chosen with work-life balance for the employees in mind, and we think this will keep the employees motivated for working at Accenture for many years and therefore lowering the attrition rate, and eventually bring much value to the company in the long run. Starting by looking into the current reward program, we will explain why we have come up with these additional rewards. Now, the current reward program is fine, and Accenture have even received a Hall of Fame place for working mothers and been placed in the 3rd place for 5 consecutive years in the Refinit and Inclusion Index. This is only fitting when looking at the company's values that are one global network, respect for the individuals, and integrity, to mention a few. But is this reward program fitted for the next generation workforce? Even though it is some great rewards in place here, the next generation wants more. And now to my colleague Kaldane, who will take you through our research showing who this program is made for.
Thank you. So next generation is Generation Z, the next workforce. Anyone born after 1997 is part of it. So this generation grew up with the technology, the internet, and the social media. It is important to identify this context and their behavior to create the correct strategy to attract them. So according to a survey performed by our partner McKinsey, Generation Z has 4 core behaviors. First, undefined ID. This behavior is related to have the freedom of expressing the individual truth. This authentic value is converted in a personalized and flexible reward plan to meet the individual needs, instead of imposing the same plan to all the members. Second, this generation is open to join communities and they are very inclusive. So in the reward plan, we propose them to join the groups and the clubs created by shared values, interests, and causes as a win-win strategy, because the more connected the members are, the more creative ideas will emerge in the work environment, and it's an excellent opportunity to them to network. Third, dialogue. The generation understand and accept different opinions. They prefer dialogue instead of confronting, but they can be very tolerant in situations that is inappropriate. So the leadership program proposed in the reward plan will not only prove this communication skill, associating it to the right day-to-day situations in a company, but will also provide extra preparation to their career. Fourth, realistic. Generation Z is pragmatic and they like to analyze all the information around them, and they are self-learners. So based on that, it is proposed to have access to educational platform and events, so they will be able to explore curiosity and self-development. So an interview was also performed by David, and he was able to collect accurate information related to the expectation of the Generation Z.
Yes, Kaldane. Basically, when we looked and surveyed this generation, they showed a stronger leaning towards the motivation factors of Friedrich Eisenberg, as against previous generations that showed more leaning towards hygiene factors. This generation showed a stronger affinity for elements, for example, of equity as against the traditional thinking of 30 days, make a pay. They are concerned about their future. And so things like employee ownership scheme was a stronger motivation for them to want to work for an employer of choice as against just salary. And you would also see that in the solution we crafted for flexible bouquet of compensation and benefit planning. There was also a strong leaning within this particular catchment of new emerging employees for relationship and acceptance. They wanted a feeling of a work environment that exemplifies flexi working hours, that lift the value of relationships and acceptance. They are highly aspirational, and so international education festivals and leadership training are things that will motivate them to give them the kick to want to work for an employer. Trust was very important in some of the things that we surveyed when we found out from them, and so activity, community, flexi working hours, and leadership training solutions came from that particular insight. Also, we found that in interviewing them that there was a need for a sense of meaning and purpose. And so things like student loans and scholarships that will help them to express themselves and their meaning, and leadership training that helps them to develop their capability in the longer term was important. And lastly, we noticed autonomy and self-regulation and determination as another insight to motivate this particular generation to work for you in the long term. These and other factors will eventually make us an employer of choice within this generation and in the coming future. Roksha led the thought in trying to understand specifically what employers would need from this generation. Over to you, Roksha.
Thanks, Eddie. Now, from next generation expectation to what recruiters are expecting. Surprisingly, the millennial behavior have been a turning point for recruiters to rethink their hiring strategy. As Gen Z is highly social and prefers digital modes of everything they do, hiring is now brief and majorly online over professional social media websites. Based on the research conducted by our team, we find out that recruiters now prefer KPIs to measure the generation behavior versus their expectations. KPIs are key performance indicators. For example, timeliness, measuring a sense of responsibility to get the job done from the entry-level recruits within the stipulated time, or problem solving, measuring a sense of solution provider, process improvement plans by leaning on fresh knowledge without company biases, or rotating between different departments to improve their reach and knowledge to find optimum solutions are few examples for this KPI. Or productivity, measuring the cost of hire versus the task fulfillment. Hires below average can then be pushed for further training and development. These KPIs help us to understand the new recruits, and companies can then provide them the required benefits. Now, handing over to my colleague Mariam for the next slide.
To sum up, we have designed an updated reward package for Accenture after our thorough research and analysis, primary and secondary research, including face-to-face interviews with young people and recruiters from top companies. And what we have analyzed and researched are current award-winning programs that are based on integrity and respect for individuals. We have analyzed Generation Z's preferences, conducted primary research on what they expect to get from different organizations, and we looked at hiring strategies by the recruiters. And the next Accenture total reward package that we have created is totally focused on professional and personal growth, sense of belonging and security, sense of autonomy, and most importantly, it is tailored to specific employee persona, which means that from our wide variety of the benefits, young employees can customize their own reward package. Thank you very much for your attention.